Good afternoon. My name is Latina Wilson, and I am the chairperson of the Board of Education of Charles County. This afternoon, I welcome Mr. Marvin Jones, one of the 3 superintendent finalists for Charles County Public Schools. Mr. Jones, before I start with the interview questions, please take 2 minutes to tell our community about yourself.
Good afternoon, Ms. Wilson. First, I would like to publicly thank you and the Charles County Board of Education for all of your hard work and due diligence throughout this process. Your efforts are to be commended for sure, and no matter the outcome, because I certainly recognize that this is not about me personally, it's about what's best for the children of Charles County. So I truly appreciate your hard work with this. I'm aware that you've read my bio and certainly you're familiar with my resume. And so I won't rehash all of that, but I would like to share what I'm about, what you can expect from me as your superintendent, at least 3 top things that I believe to be of value. Leadership, stewardship, and governance. Leadership, because I believe the organization goes as the leader goes. And I want nothing but success for our children. And so I believe that if I don't give my best, then I can't expect the best from our employees or our students. And I would not be seeking this position if I didn't believe that we have great potential to grow together. Stewardship, because remembering who this work is about, our highest priority must be on seeking the best for our children, setting them up for success and providing the highest quality teachers and the best available resources. And this doesn't come without responsible financial stewardship. And so continuous efforts will be made to provide and advocate for what teachers need in order to support our children. And finally, governance. I certainly support the notion of having fun at work, but without losing focus on what the charge is, ensuring that the job still gets done, the job of moving our students to achieve, excel, thrive, and advance. We all must be held accountable to do our part. I fully expect the board to hold me accountable, and my charge likewise will be to hold staff accountable. Remember, it's not about us. It's about our children and providing what they need in order to be successful when they leave Charles County Public Schools. I see this as a milestone on our journey. Excellence is a journey, not a destination.
Thank you. Let's begin with the questions. Today's interview includes 5 questions selected by the Board of Education members. We surveyed the Charles County community for questions, and we pulled our choices from over 2,500 responses. I will read each question for you. Please try to answer each question within 2 minutes. Question number 1. What is your vision for Charles County Public Schools, and where do you see the system in 5 years?
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. My overall vision for Charles County Public Schools is to establish a reputation of greatness by ensuring that all students receive the highest quality instruction available and the best educational experience is acknowledged by their families, thereby accomplishing the goal of academic achievement and social emotional competency. I believe this to be the overall goal for the system, or I would like for this to be the overall vision for the system. But I certainly would expect that each individual school have their own vision that meshes succinctly with the school system's vision. Certainly the words would be different, but the expectation would be that the end goal is the same, that we are producing well-rounded citizens who are able to go out and compete with their peers around the world. Within 5 years, I expect that our reputation of greatness to begin to be solidified. I would expect that within the community, we are widely known and well respected, and that being vocalized as such, as evidenced by our achieved, improved test scores with regard to MCAT testing, standardized testing. I expect to be in the top 3rd tier of the state among the 24 districts. I expect that our graduation rates of within all 7 of our high schools will hit 97% and remain there consistently, 4-year cohorts. I expect behavioral concerns to go down, to decrease, and staff morale to increase. Certainly, the technology gains that we've made, I don't expect those to go away. If anything, to be increased. The one-to-one access that we have at this point, I certainly believe that to be of value, and would expect it to be commonplace, but not take the place of authentic teaching. I want to see 90% at least of our third graders reading on grade level. These are just a few of the things that I would like to see, that I believe will begin to reestablish our reputation for greatness here in Charles County.
Question number 2. Despite numerous interventions in reading and math over the last several years and a focus on early childhood education, learning gaps continue to exist and even grow. What actions will you take to close these learning gaps?
Well, I think we are at least taking a step in the right direction with the recent reading program and diagnostic tool that we have purchased. I think these things are vitally important. I believe reading to be the basis of all learning. And so I think this is a good start for us. But my goal is to first bring on the right assistant superintendent for instruction, and to work very closely with that person, because I believe that person will be vital in vetting the kinds of curriculum materials and instructional practices that we should have in place. I'm going to be an advocate of doing some things differently, and I will make that known to the instructional person. I believe that we just need to be open to doing some things differently. I support out of the box kinds of thinking. And I think this needs to be a community effort. I think, reading and first learning starts, of course, in the home. And so I think we can raise the value of learning and reading within our homes. I think this is why some of our programs like Barbershop Books, the Title I does, and our Head Start programs, and our Dad Advisory Council. These are things that I think are super important, that the family engagement is a big part of why there is success there. I think we need to build on those things. And then at the same time, I would advise families, I guess, or maybe discourage families from talking in such a way that is viewed as negative with regard to math. So often you hear, parents say, I was bad at math when I was a kid. Math was always hard for me, and the children hear that and they begin to subscribe to the same kinds of thinking. And so I would advise parents to use a different kind of thought pattern with that. But it is I think, a community effort, along with our schools working very closely with the instructional superintendent, the assistant superintendent over instruction, looking for the best ways to improve our instructional practices. Certainly, again, starting with the new programs that we purchased, those are going to be key. But I'm looking for something different. I think if we don't start looking at doing some things differently, then we are going to continue to get what we've gotten and stay in the same place. We've done great things, but we have so many more great things I believe that we can do. I think we can improve so much more. So I'm looking forward to making early childhood a focus, starting from the home, and connecting with the schools to achieve in that area.
Question number 3. Discuss how you intend to ensure there is diversity, equity, and inclusion for all students and staff. Include 3 goals that would exist in your first year as an improvement plan.
Well, first, as a former special educator and as a person of color, I have to say that I value diversity, at its highest. I think diversity and equity needs to be infused into all that we do. This just the acknowledgement of it, the inclusivity. It just needs to be infused into all that we do. Regarding three specific goals, I think my first goal would want to be related to students, evaluating the curriculum for our students, evaluating the curriculum across the board, for diversity and inclusiveness throughout. I think we need to make purposeful efforts to include and be sure that we have a diverse kind of thinking and equitable, inclusive thinking when it comes to writing curriculum. Even our curriculum writers, could use more diversity. I think probably in that staff. I'm not opposed to having um, uh, members of the community to even provide feedback as we are writing curriculum with the lens of diversity being used and inclusion being used. Students with staff, I think certainly think working with human resources office, um, we need to continue our efforts with recruitment. We need to consider and make some firm decisions about where we are going to continue recruiting and how we're going to recruit. We need to go to schools where there is more of a diverse clientele. We need to go to college towns where we have more of an opportunity to attract diverse candidates to come to our school system. I think more and more we have to really bring a balance within our workforce. That's important for not only our students of color, but I think it's important for all students to have the experience of a more balanced workforce, more balanced teaching staff. I think that's vital, and so that would be a goal of mine to have our human resources to continue those efforts, and then certainly working with the Office of Diversity and Equity. I think we must charge that office to be empowered in order to help us, be held accountable. I think that office needs to analyze all of our decisions and keep us honest. I think that office can do more with regard to using the policy that we've written and best practices with regard to ensuring that equity and inclusion is infused into all we do. This office should be prepared to roadmap just how we are going to infuse this into our daily work and routines. It's too much at stake not to take full advantage of the resources that we have. We have a diversity and equity office, and I think we need to work hard to ensure that they are a part of every decision that we make. So these would be my three goals. I'm trying to get this in 2 minutes, Ms. Wilson. 2 minutes is tricky, but we're gonna get it. So those are my three goals to start with.
Question number 4. How do you plan to improve educator job satisfaction and retention?
I think we have to start with collecting data um, from current teachers, from teachers who are leaving us by way of exit interviews. I think we need to collect some information as to what's making them dissatisfied. Why is it that they are leaving us? I think that information needs to be collected by a task force, a force who is or a group who is specifically charged with looking into this matter. I think that the task force should begin to categorize and prioritize the information that they are receiving in order to begin feasibly addressing the things that can be addressed. Whether it's a compensation study or whether it's possible budget realignments that might be available, or creating more of a social network for our teachers that may um, you know um, help them to feel more satisfied, I guess. The key is having a group that's charged, I think, specifically to take on this matter. And I even see this group or this task force perhaps becoming their own office at some point, perhaps an offshoot of human resources, because certainly we know that recruitment and retention of quality teachers is a challenge that is not going anywhere. But creative thinking outside the box to attract teachers or to retain teachers and keep them happy and satisfied. Those are the things that I would expect. I certainly would encourage. From a leadership standpoint, I would ensure that every interaction that I have with teachers or staff, occurs in such a way that I try to make people feel good about working here, about being here. But I also listen, and I'm an active listener, so that I can really relate to and just encourage people to get the support that may help, or maybe I'm the support that may help. But I certainly believe in using my skill set as far as relating to people to help people kind of feel comfortable about opening up, about concerns that they may have that we might be able to address some of them. But then in the end, we need to, keep doing or not in the end, but we need a recursive pulse check to just sort of see what kind of progress we're making in this area. So this group or this task force that may become in office at some point, I think they will be charged with, um, you know, uh, uh, um, working on this particular area here to ensure that we're making some good progress. I'm happy staff members are staff members who tend to stay.
Question number 5. The pandemic has placed increased stress on students, staff, and community. What is your plan to address this mental and emotional health crises?
So I will work closely with the Student Services Office and direct them to take the lead on this matter to help our staff members recognize where there are concerns, recognize where there are students who are struggling, where there are staff members who are even struggling after the pandemic. And so, with this, recognition, I think having screening tools or made available checklists made available that our staff may be able to just sort of use to determine where our students are and what kinds of support they may need. I'd like for student services to train our administrators and eventually train all staff. This is the kind of professional development I think will be helpful for everyone returning from pandemic. Um, Actual interventions, I think, that could be used, social emotional learning strategies, the SEL strategies that we're using, restorative practices. I think this is another one that will come in handy and be used quite a bit returning from the pandemic. The Move This World programs that we use at the elementary level right now, I think these are things that we can leverage to really help us make some gains on determining or I guess identifying students who are struggling. And then, and this might even be an area that we consider transforming into um, just a goal. The whole mental health concern and emotional crisis, it may become a system goal because this is an area that I think it was already huge, but certainly the pandemic has not made that problem any easier. And so I think this is going to have to be an area that we're going to need to have specific focus on. As for staff and the community, since we are trained, educators are trained to work with students, I think we can lend listening ears and certainly empathetic consoling and all. But for those more intense kinds of concerns, I think we will do better to refer them to outside supports, maybe the EAP, the employee assistance program, or other outside agencies. I mean, I think we can work with staff, but only to a certain extent because our training goes, but so far with staff, we're trained to work with students. In the end, proactively monitoring, the mental health of our students, the state of our students, being able to recognize triggers or signs of there being trauma or challenges or crises. I think that being able to recognize those are going to help us to be able to intervene quickly before things become too problematic.
Thank you, Mr. Jones, for your answers. On behalf of the Board of Education, thank you for joining us today. Could you please take 2 minutes to provide any closing remarks you would like to add?
So yes, Ms. Wilson, thank you once again. And so in closing, I would like to offer that I believe that this is an opportunity for all of us to make history together with me as your leader. I recognize that if I secure this job, that the road ahead will not be easy, but I'm prepared, I'm well qualified, battle tested, and I'm ready to lead. I also recognize the demographic evolution of our community and our school system. And I believe I'm poised and prepared and perfectly positioned to lead us in the next leg of our journey. As such, I will ensure that we continue our current momentum with regard to diversity and equity training. Um, this is an area that we cannot afford to let die. As a matter of fact, I think we must find ways to increase and make purposeful, inroads on infusing or integrating diversity and equity into, again, all that we do. Full infusion, not just surface level window dressing. It's too important. Our diversity, I believe, has a AAA rating where we accept, acknowledge, and appreciate our differences. Because in the end, we must be inclusive in order to continue growing. Our diversity and our differences must not be the cause of division, but rather the reason for standing together, united. We are one CCPS, and we must continue standing together. And with me serving as your head cheerleader, and the key part of that word being leader, I believe that we can reimagine how to successfully educate our children, and we will make more of a difference than ever before. I understand the assignment, and I'm ready to get our journey started. Excellence is a journey, not a destination. Thank you for your time, Ms. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Charles County Public Schools is posting the recording of this interview in a community feedback survey on the school system website, ccboe.com. Look under the Quick Links menu located on the right-hand side of the homepage and scroll down to click on the Superintendent's Finalist. The survey closes at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 25th. Thank you.